Hello and welcome back to the 5 Cent Cigar Newscast. I'm Evan McAlice. Thank you for joining us. This just in, we have breaking news coming to you from the Quad. A pack of rabid beavers have been set loose on campus. They are multiplying and they are wreaking havoc. Seek shelter immediately. April Fools. Coming up this week, we have the return of in-person tours for prospective students and how the university is speaking out against the rise in AAPI violence. And make sure you stick around for your Rhody Sports Corner. After a year-long hiatus, guided in-person tours are back on campus, complete with brand new safety regulations. I spoke with URI's Welcome Center and tour guide team to find out more. Since they began offering in-person tours again in early March, URI has been giving roughly 75 tours a week. In order to make sure these tours met state safety guidelines, a number of changes had to be made.
We decreased the tour size significantly. We used to have upwards of 30 people on a tour. Right now, we're maxing out at 9. We're also offering tours way more often to try to keep the amount of visitors in the Welcome Center as low as possible.
Tours are also no longer able to go inside residence halls in order to decrease entrance into buildings. In fact, the only buildings that tours are able to go through are the Memorial Union, the library, and the new engineering building. And while communicating through masks has proven to be a difficult process, the tour guide program is supplementing this problem by providing guides with portable microphone packs.
And so it kind of is like a little fanny pack, and then there's a little microphone that the tour guides can wear, so then they'll be able to hear once we are social distancing, like if there are some people a little bit further back, they're able to hear a little bit better.
URI is also still offering various virtual tours for students and families not comfortable with touring in person. Many tour guides who are either not comfortable with giving in-person tours or working out of state have also been given the option to conduct these virtual tours.
One of the best parts about being a student employee is that we all are students, and so we're all in the same boat. And so we recognize that a lot of our tour guides were having less than usual semesters, and we wanted to make sure that they were comfortable doing whatever working situation they wanted to do. And so if they wanted to only do virtual options, that is completely fine, and they were able to do that. But if they wanted to opt in and be part of our staff that gives these in-person tours and interacts with visitors in the Welcome Center, then all the better.
For tour guide Mike Diaz, however, the decision to give in-person tours was an easy one.
I was very excited to finally do in-person tours, and I think it feels a lot more normal. It feels a lot more like how it was pre-COVID. And although it's a little bit different, I think the experience is definitely a lot more enhanced when you're actually able to be in the Welcome Center and go out for real and actually do the route.
According to Diaz, the response to in-person tours has been overwhelmingly positive from both visitors and tour guides alike.
I've heard some of the responses. They've been very, very positive. And I think everyone is just grateful to be at URI and to be able to see it in person, even though it does look a little bit different. I think at the end of the day, for the families, just being able to see it is the best thing.
And while URI is optimistic about the future of in-person tours and large-scale events, virtual tours are likely here to stay.
I don't think the virtual aspects are going to go away. I think we've learned a lot about amazing ways that we can connect with students off campus using technology. Safety is 100% my biggest priority, and that will stay that way. But as things seem more safe, we do want to give students more access to all the amazing things that happen at URI and be able to welcome more people.
URI's Bias Resource Team is an interdisciplinary group consisting of URI staff and faculty that provides support for students who have witnessed acts of bias on campus. And with the recent rise in violence against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, the university is doing what they can to condemn and fight against racism in the community. Imani Fleming has a story.
The Bias Resource Team at URI within the Community, Equity, and Diversity Department reviews reported bias incidents and refers campus resources to those in need. Mary Grace Almondras tells us more about the group's services.
It's a resource on campus where if there's any member of the community who feels that they've experienced an incident of bias, they have a mechanism to report it. Anyone who reports can choose to put their contact information or not. Regardless of what the situation is, it may or may not be a bias incident, but regardless of what it is, everyone on the team gets a copy of the report, and they take all incidents seriously. We've received reports from witnesses, we've received reports from people who've experienced bias, and within the next 1 to 2 business days after that report is submitted, someone from the BRT will follow up if someone leaves their contact information.
The bias report features questions pertaining to the nature of the reported incident, including the involved parties and whether or not things like race and gender identity or expression were involved.
I just want to make sure if someone in the community has experienced bias, that there's someone that they can talk to at the university about the incident, that it's documented, and that we refer them to the campus resources.
In response to the recent rise in hate crimes against Asian Americans in the U.S., URI Communications released a statement condemning all violence targeted towards Asians and Asian Americans, encouraging the URI community to remain educated.
We haven't seen an uptick in Asian and Asian American violence. That does not mean there hasn't been. What we do know is that nationally there is an uptick. At URI, we just haven't gotten the reports.
According to Almondrez, the university implores students to visit the counseling center, dean of students' office, or any other space where support is provided if you are experiencing any difficulties during this time.
I would take any case, whether they're Asian American or not, seriously, and also to make sure that folks feel that they were heard and that they were responded to, because when you're dealing with a challenging situation, I mean, at the end of the day, we just want students to be students, to not have to worry about all these other issues that are happening. And if we can prevent that from happening, or we can disrupt harm, and we can create an environment where they can just thrive, I think that's really important. That's part of our responsibility. I want you to be able to go through URI and just be a student.
Imani Fleming reporting, 5 Cent Cigar News.
URI is encouraging students, faculty, and staff to complete the 2021 Climate Survey, which gauges current attitudes and behaviors to inform the university's next diversity action plan. The goal of this survey is to address community needs and structural inequalities in order to create positive and sustainable changes on campus. If you participate in the survey, you will become eligible to win a number of prizes, including gift cards, URI merch, and even an iPad or Apple Watch. You can learn more about the survey at uri.edu/climatesurvey, and it is open until tomorrow, April 2nd. And now over to Aniekan Okon with your Rhody Sports Corner.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Aniekan Okon, and this is your Rhody Sports Corner. For the past year, Rhody fans have been forced to follow their favorite teams from home. But recently, the state of Rhode Island gave players, coaches, and students some much-needed good news.
On March 9th, Rhode Island Athletics announced that it would allow a limited number of students who were participating in biweekly testing to attend sporting events on campus. Director of Ticketing Maureen McCarthy says this decision came after they got the green light from the state.
They agreed to just allow students the opportunity, because kids are on this campus, they're looking for things to do, and because they're a safe, so-called safe, but the kids who are testing, allow them to come.
Along with testing, students will be required to wear a face mask and adhere to all health and safety protocols. Mobile tickets will also be used instead of traditional paper tickets.
We have signage. It's the basic, 6 feet, wear your mask. But the biggest thing for us was not swiping in your ID, no touching like that, where we used to do. Now it's all mobile ticketing, which will be interesting because this will be our first real push of mobile ticketing.
Students will now be required to go into their student ticketing RAM account to request game tickets as early as 2 days prior to the start of the event. Some students were really happy about how easy the process was.
I'm happy with how easy it was to get in and all that.
Yeah, we woke up at 10 just to we're going there to get tickets.
The overall game experience will also look different for fans this season, with no food trucks and gates opening 30 minutes prior to kickoff.
But yeah, it'll be a very different. There'll be music, like hype music for the team and stuff. There'll be fake crowd noise like men's basketball. But yeah, it'll be a lot different.
In addition to students being allowed into games, a limited number of immediate family members of players will also be allowed.
It was nice to see a game. We've been missing it, so it was nice to be able to come out and see all the guys and be excited for them and everything.
Along with football, students will be allowed to attend men's and women's soccer, softball, and baseball. Speaking of games, The 18th ranked Rams returned to action last Saturday with a chance to further prove themselves in the CAA when they took on the 9th ranked Delaware Blue Hens.
As I referenced earlier, the Rams ran out to a cheering crowd of about 500 for the first time this season when they took on Delaware in their home opener. 4th and 3rd on the first drive for Delaware, the Rams would bring everyone to the line and it would hurt them. Running back DeJohn Lee would pick up more than the needed 3 yards and take it all the way to the house to give Delaware the 7-0 lead. Later in the quarter, the Rams would continue their success with the quarterback keeper. This time, Brandon Robinson would take it into the end zone with his 13-yard run to tie the game at 7. After a nearly 6.5-minute drive, Delaware would retake the lead with this quarterback draw from Anthony Paoletti to make the score 14-7 before halftime. Coming out of the locker room, Delaware would come out swinging, scoring touchdowns on their first 2 drives of the half. Here, quarterback Nolan Henderson would find Tyreek Pitts to put the Blue Hens up 28-7. The Rams would get a late touchdown courtesy of Jamal Mensah, but it wouldn't be enough. They would drop their first game of the season 35-21. After the game, Coach Jim Fleming thanked the school and the state for allowing his players to play in front of fans.
First and foremost, I would like to make a sincere thank you to the state of Rhode Island, the University of Rhode Island, for the efforts made to be able to host an event here on campus with people. I think it's a tremendous welcome opportunity. I thought it was a great idea for our students and our faculty that, have been waiting for an opportunity to do something like this. I can't go any further without saying, our appreciation as a football program for everybody to have made the sacrifices necessary to allow us to compete.
The team will look to get back on track this Saturday with yet another tough test in front of them. The team will welcome New Hampshire to Meade Stadium this Saturday at 1 p.m. Reporting from Meade Stadium, I'm Aniekan Okon, 5 Cent Cigar Sports.
According to URI's COVID-19 tracker, for the week of March 24th through March 30th, there have been 56 positive cases with a 1.07 positive test rate. That's all we have for you this week at the 5 Cent Cigar Newscast. Make sure to check us out at rhodycigar.com and follow us on Twitter at rhodycigar. Reporting from Kingston, I'm Evan McAlice, and as always, stay safe, Rhody.